Good evening, family. Good evening. I am tempted to say my normal welcome back, 3 or 4 times, but I will not because my esteemed producer, our esteemed producer, Miss Rebecca said, I was looking at some footage and you say welcome back 3 times almost every show. Don't want to be redundant. I don't want to be redundant, so I won't. Just joking. So good to see you all. Thank you all for tuning in again. Tyrone, we are maxing out today with, folks, I tell you, man, these unsung type, heroic types that you may not ever hear their name in the national press types are here with us today representing our fair city. And they're going to, a rousing and really interesting topic. Anti-racist schools. What a concept. Can't wait to talk to them. But before we do, we are going to ask our connection question. We're going to start ladies first. We're going to start with Miss Berkeley, who's back, friend of the program. Miss Berkeley, highly popular educator. I call you really, they're talking about Miss Berkeley's title. It should be Renaissance woman, not just educator. She does this, she does that, she does it all. Welcome back, Miss Berkeley. 2 good things. This is what we're asking the audience, Miss Berkeley. 2 good things that happened to you today. Real quick before you go, I'm sorry, just remind the audience, throw it in the chat. 2 good things that happened to you today. Okay, Miss Berkeley, what you got?
All right, real fast. Peace and quiet I got today. Because I'm working from my office and not from home, which allowed me to get a lot done. Because no distractions. Can I have a snack? All that, all day long. And then I bumped into a scholarship application. So I applied and we'll see where, where the chips fall. But education clearly is important to me and it's something that I'll be a lifelong learner. So we'll have to see how that turns out.
Excellent. Thank you. And another friend, fantastic friend of the program, the revolutionary, not just in her words, but action, thoughts, and deeds, and how she teaches these young people. Miss Peters, welcome back. 2 good things that happened to you today, ma'am.
Well, today I went to the dentist and I got my permanent crown. So that's good. So that process is over. And I keep receiving all my emails. My birthday's tomorrow. So I have my emails for my birthday, which now I get to go get like a half a pound of steamed shrimp from Conrad's. I get to go do stuff like that for my birthday. So that I feel good about that.
Excellent. Welcome back. And for the first time, Mr. Cipollone, thank you, sir, for joining us. Another revolutionary-minded young man. And, in order to move this work that we're going to talk about, we need diversity. We were just talking the other day that we need more non-Black people who are trying to dig in, understand, and help ally with Black people and people of color to push this work and to use their tools to help this work come about. Welcome to the show, sir. 2 good things that happened to you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. 2 good things. First is the leftovers from yesterday. So whenever there's a Ravens game, always like the buffalo chicken dip just gets better over time. So phenomenal lunch would have to be one. Second, definitely getting caught up too much in like emails and work stuff. So sometimes you have to like get stuck in it to remind yourself to like emails are for after work kind of thing. So today was one of those days where I got back to prioritizing my time. So those are my 2 good things.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing. I will go as our brother Tyrone, the face of the franchise. It's so wonderful, family, that I can say that and see him, back to back shows. It's wonderful. But I will go because he's letting you all into the door, welcoming you all. For me, it's, I'm just grounded and reminded every day when I can wake up and I have full faculty of my mind and my body. It is 2 good things, 2 good blessings. So I always try to start there, and everything else is just icing on the cake, as they say. All right.
So first, as always, welcome those who have joined us. You all, please tap the screen, share the live. I got to give a couple shots out. Kamisha, Elania, hey family, Lorraine, Tanisha, Taylor, just a couple of shots out. to those who are joined us already, y'all. Share the live, y'all. Share the live, share the live. This is going to be an amazing topic today. As William has said, with our folks here. I'm really looking forward to it. But so to the question, and you all answer the question. Let us know 2 great things that happened to you all as well today. So for me, I am definitely on that side of being able to wake up and be blessed. Some did not. And unfortunately for I'll do that in a little bit. I do want to take a moment to shout out someone after this, if y'all don't mind. But waking up, and then secondly, for me, a great thing that happened. I was going to say my phone, getting a new phone, but I don't even know about that because I had to kick out money for that I wasn't planning on doing. So I am going to go with the fact that today is now the 11th, and I am 11 days in of changing eating habits, and we've been sticking with it, me and the kids. So I think that's celebratory because normally we might make it 2 days. So for us to be 11 days in, I'm very grateful for that. But I also mentioned folks who not make it. I don't know if you all remember, early on we had someone named Christina St. Rose who always checked in. She's actually my god sister, my mom's goddaughter, and now she watches the show with my mom all the time. It's become a regular thing with them. However, last night she transitioned over, so she was a avid viewer of ours. She loved Will. Matter of fact, she loved William a whole lot, y'all. But just want to send love and light to her immediate family and to my mom and those who are close to her. But also, again, just being grateful for the blessing of waking up, right? Because we have some who didn't. So, yeah.
Thank you, Brother Tyrone. And love, prayers, and blessings of peace on Miss Christina's family, and to you as well, Tyrone. And, we pray for you all in your perpetual healing that you're going to need in the days and years, of course, to come. Thank you, Brother Tyrone. Maybe if we get a chance, we can hear a little bit of the story of how you had to come by a new phone. I think the audience would definitely appreciate that. All right, down to business. Miss Peters, we're going to start with you, ma'am, a resident revolutionary, if you will. Tell us about this anti-racist schools project. Now, this is full disclosure. Okay. We had a production meeting the other day, and Brother Tyrone had to reel me back in because there's so much going on around the idea of race. It's not new. And just like, the crisis that we're going into society, it just seems to be exacerbated. 2 weeks we're numb, 2 weeks we're angry. I speak for myself. We were talking the other day about the insurrection on the Capitol, and that day, or I think maybe the day before, the verdict for the young man that was shot and paralyzed by the police came down. We didn't even get to hear that in the news. So there are so many things around race. And when I got to, we got to talking about this, I was like, well, what does that mean? What does anti-racist schools mean? So I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to let Ms. Peters begin, and we'll go around and I'll ask some questions.
All right. So you know me. So I'm with you on a lot of things with that. Like, what I'm learning and what we're doing is nothing new. Bringing awareness to it, people have been trying to make this fight forever. And unfortunately, it seems like every generation has to make a new fight. But what we're trying to do is now many people, I don't know if they really realize how racism and racist behavior and all that are vetted in our school systems. I don't think they really understand that part of it. They know that there are some discrepancies. They know that, maybe this kid gets treated differently, but they don't know about curriculum. We talked about curriculum before and how I feel about curriculum in our Black kids. They don't talk about how the laws are made that affect our children. Schools are very racist. They are some of the breeding grounds of the people that we're seeing right now and all of this stuff. So what we came up with the help of the Teacher Democracy Project is now to bring better awareness, but not only just awareness, to make action plans to start chopping down this tree. This is a big old tree. We are not going to get it chopped all the way down right now, but I'm definitely going to try my best to put some dents in this tree that it stops growing. So the Anti-Racist Project is just that. It's just that, to bring an awareness to what's happening, but to make action plans that can follow me if I decide to stop and get out the classroom and do something else that is already embedded. And it is embedded from the system itself, the school system, to the teachers, from the parents to the students, that everybody is going to be a part of that. So, brother, I'm with you on that. And I agree. Like, that's a whole nother topic. You know, I can go off. I want to know what the textbooks are going to say about this crap. But that's our project, is to get action plans in place that everybody, every student is being taught in the correct way, is not being held against, is not being held to a standard. That's racist. People didn't even realize standardized testing is racist. People don't realize that. So that's what the project is going to do. I'm not going to say hope that it does. It is what we are going to do.
Thank you, Ms. Peters. Tyrone?
I just wanted to say really, really quick, Siobhan, Matthew, Tamika, you all, I got to work with Tamika directly when she became a fellow with TDP. And she was actually the only group that her school, the educators, were talking about it, right? And the racism that was happening within their school. And I thought it was super dope and amazing, right? For them to want to tackle, you know what I'm saying, these issues that go overlooked all the time. We know they exist, right? We know they exist. We know what's going on, but go overlooked so time. And to have a staff, you know what I'm saying, that's like, this is an issue and this is what we need to work on. And that's what she invested her time in. I just thought it was so dope. So I wanted to put that out there, because like, this isn't just an overnight thing for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, this has been work that has, happened, been identified, and been going on. So it's like, William, I was there with the conversation, and like I threw out some questions as well, right? So I had it, but then I had to take a step back, you know what I'm saying, and just think, like, for these educators to even want to address this, right, and put forth work to bring this open and address it and work towards it, is super amazing. Hats off. To those educators. So just had to say that, put that out there, let folks know that, and to me, actually, give you hats off. And welcome more, Michael Chaney. Thank you, bro. I see you. Tanisha, Leah, Melissa, Tisha, Marie, Jay, Ro, y'all continue to share the live and come up with your questions for our esteemed guests on racist schools, because I know y'all have some. I'm shutting up. Back to our guests.
and also the two good things. Mrs. Cipollone, I wanted to come to you next. The unfortunate reality in this country, I would argue that in many westernized countries, is that Miss Peters could have an idea. She could have a solution to a problem, whatever it is, in any field you name. Miss Berkeley could have an idea, a solution to a problem. But usually those ideas are not validated unless someone of Caucasian or white persuasion said that you could say the exact same thing. So give us your perspective, and we have to say, and Tyrone alluded to it the other day, Rebecca as well. You being a part of the project, is of utmost importance. It's not that people of African descent can't fight and don't fight and won't fight, but unfortunately, sometimes people such as yourself outside of the Black community, the brown community, have to help open that door. What is your perspective, and what do you have to say about the anti-racist schools?
Yeah, I think very clearly you all are absolutely right there. And not only if a Black educator or parent or school leader brings it up, is it not heard, but as a white teacher, I get way more slack to be able to throw out ideas, to be able to lead things without having that retribution. So I see it as kind of like that added responsibility of white educators and school leaders to step out and use that extra slack, so to speak. I also, what I like about the anti-racist schools program is it's very focused on teachers or stakeholders in general doing the work to push themselves. Very often when anti-racism is brought up to white educators, the discussion is, all right, well, what are the 3 solutions I need to do to fix my classroom? And anti-racism in schools is very clear, like, no, like we as individuals need to do the work to understand how we become anti-racist agents. It's not a quick do 1 to 5 and boom, the school's done. So it's about engaging in teachers to just hold the conversations and to continuously push this, because there's no finish line. Like I'm not above thinking or acting as a white man. Like I can't help myself but think or act as a white man. But anti-racist schools is just building this space in the building for teachers to continually reflect and learn and talk about their identities and races and how that impacts the students.
Thank you, Mrs. Malone. I have a follow-up. You know, these conversations need to be had. And because of the history of the treatment of Black peoples, brown peoples, indigenous peoples in this country, someone would open the program today and say, well, what's he doing? He's a white guy. So tell us, why are you personally invested in this program? What makes you say, hey, I'm going to do it? Because certainly you don't have to be invested. You could look the other way. You could act like any and every other person that, you know, eschews the thought of racism and colorism. And we even talked about this being a post-racial society, all those kind of nonsensical kind of terms that just aren't true. So what about you, your personal investment?
Yeah, I think so much in there is an assumption that like white people don't have race, which is kind of ridiculous. Like white people are racial beings, but our race or our story or our culture is just so default and like forced as a default that white people tend not to think that we have race. And I think that's the problem. So a lot of my work comes from understanding my own life, where like I would have said, oh, I grew up in a bubble, an all white town in the suburbs, where I didn't see race or I didn't talk about race, but that's really not what happened. Like I lived in an incredibly racially violent community, because that type of segregation doesn't just happen, right? So kind of in my growth of understanding myself, also understanding kind of the duty of all that privilege. Now I need to do my part in understanding that privilege and actively disrupting the system that my identity and myself have helped build.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you being candid. These questions need to be asked and answered, honestly, and I really appreciate that. Miss Berkeley, you're up. What is your take? What are your thoughts about the program?
When I first heard of it, I felt excited because it was definitely a topic that we had not addressed as a school, as a district. And I was excited to whatever. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I am very pro-Black. So anytime I hear anything about, you know, being Black, let's end racism, let's improve our society, I mean, I'm all for it. And I don't have time to go into it here today, but I've had some negative work experiences with non-Black employees that really made me aware that the situation was a lot deeper and a lot more masks than we had realized. And it was those experiences that really continue to drive me, despite how it affected me so negatively. I'm a big girl. I stood up, pulled my britches up and said, you know what? I'm not going to let that deter me from addressing the topic, because it is needed. And like, I love the way Tamika said, it's a huge tree. And it's not, we're not just going to swing an axe at it one time and it's going to fall. However, if we never swing an axe at it, then that tree will always be there. So I'm ready to be a part of the work. I am a part of the work. I'm swinging my axe at the tree every opportunity I get to try to make meaningful and sustained change around racism in our schools.
Superb, superb. Thank you, both of you, Miss Peters, Miss Berkeley. Reminds me of the Jamaican, or at least the Caribbean axioms. It's a small axe, right, that chops the big tree. Very good. Also, Matt, I don't know if I scared you, or hopefully I didn't. Miss Peters, I don't know if I scared you, or also Miss Berkeley, because Miss Berkeley, I don't think you were on when we were doing Nuggets of Wisdom. So this is just Nuggets of Wisdom, y'all. When we hear you saying something profound, which you've already done, we actually, Tyrone, we just poured a whole bag today. We're not sprinkling, we're pouring a whole bag from all three of our esteemed guests today. Thank you all so much for your honesty. I just, again, I just echo that this conversation needs to be had. Okay, Ms. Berkeley, coming right back to you. So what does it look like? You said you experienced, and I'm sure Ms. Peters, you did as well, and quite possibly because of bias, Mr. Cipollone, you've experienced this too, negative instances and examples of tension, or maybe even toxicity, I'm sure, in the workplace because of racism. And so my question is, what does an anti-racist school look like to you?
Is that my question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So for me, an anti-racist school could be a lot of things. And I say that because every school is different. Okay. So with that being in mind, there might be some racial things of one type going on at one school that may not be present somewhere else. But overall, right, we want to have schools where we are having conversations about race, creating a space where school stakeholders, meaning the parents, the students, the teachers, feel comfortable enough to bring up the topic or to bring up issues around racism, or even policies that are in place that are somewhat racist, so that they can be addressed. And we not just silently continue on day to day, going through the motions without addressing some of the things that really matter and make all of the difference. So our anti-racist schools will feel empowered to educate stakeholders. Anti-racist schools will create an environment where people can safely share their concerns, address needs that need to be addressed, and hopefully change the hearts and minds of all those stakeholders involved. Because at school, and I have this funny position, so it's like funny, but like as a school leader, there are two types of changes. There's only two types of changes you can make: technical and adaptive. Technical is easy. Everybody's late every day because of the bus. I'm gonna change the time school start. Boom, that's changed. Those easy changes, things like that. But adaptive changes are the most difficult changes, because I can sit here or go to a meeting and smile and nod. Okay, sure, I'm going to do that starting Monday. But that does not mean that you have really affected my heart and my mind to such a place that my actions are going to really be different on Monday. Does that make sense? So when we get our anti-racist school project is an effort to move forward, to try to put strategies in place to address issues that currently exist and old policies that we need to get rid of or update, so that we can have schools, anti-racist schools. I guess that's what I want to say.
Wow. Yes, sir, Tyrone. Thank you. Yes, nuggets, hand snaps, nuggets, pour the whole, all of that. Tyrone.
Nuggets. Thank you. So as always, again, thank y'all for joining us. We had a lot of other folks come through: Maria McLeod, Kiki Harper, Ashley Nicole, Christian Tupman, Marja Moreno, Teresa Giordano, Charmaine White, Michael Chaney. I see you, Catron. Just want to shout out a few more people. Y'all, ask y'all to continue sharing the live. And as you are watching, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little thumbs up or a little heart. If you're liking it or you're loving it, please tap that as you're watching. Share your questions and your comments. First, I wanted to read a comment, though, that was made, in which we know, and I think he was piggybacking off of what Brother William said, and that is that, hey, Patrick O'Ray, we're doing great, thank you. Larry said, just standardized tests are discriminatory. The educational industry utilizes racism. Absolutely. We know that. But then the question to the panel, could you guys offer some specifics in what you're seeing in your school, and what specifically would you like to see done to address the challenges that you are seeing in your school?
Let's go Mr. Cipollone and then Ms. Peters.
Sure. I think in my school, a context where our students are virtually maybe 95% Black, a big area we need to grow as a school community is understanding that racism is not just like explicit racist actions, which it can be, but that racism is a system. That you don't have to like be mean to the student for it to be racism. So in this, I'm talking about like views of color blindness, that it's possible to not see color, or it's possible to think that in this space, race isn't playing a factor. And that's like, if we're not willing to acknowledge how race and racism show up in the classroom, or to even push ourselves to see it, how could we address something where acting isn't there? So I think, again, the Anti-Racist Schools program is so good, is because it's just like allowing people to have these conversations to then move us along. I mean, really understanding the problem more than just like explicit meanness towards a person.
Okay, so breaking down what racism is very important, because you're right. You have to deconstruct it in order for people to really understand it, especially, you know, not only the victim, but of course the unwitting perpetuators as well. Ms. Peters.
Exactly what Matt was saying as well. You have to break it down and understand, like in the racist umbrella, you know, you have discriminatory, you have prejudice, you have biases, and to bring awareness to all of those elements of showing how this can become racist behavior towards our students, like in their families. Like, you know, like sometimes as teachers, we have certain privileges that we think we have. So sometimes we look down to our parents thinking they don't have it. That's racist to them. Or as I like my big thing right now is just focusing on one group that I'm in on standardized testing, and realizing like how racist that is, that now you're saying this kid needs special ed because of this standard. But do you take the time to get to know the kid, to see what learning style they had, to see what they really understood? So before you start labeling our students or thinking they're this, they might not want to read about this topic, but if you give them another book with the same standards, they might be able to read that and excel. So breaking that down of like, don't just automatically start labeling our families and our students and your other co-workers based on what you see, your biases. And like, I saw it a lot, even though we had, like, I think it was Siobhan that talked about the adaptive, having it in your heart. With this unrest in DC, it was a big discussion, even in my school, after we did all that work with certain teachers. And I'm sitting there like, you gotta be kidding me. This is really how you feel about the situation? So realizing that that's somebody that's teaching our students, we got to do more work to break it down so they can realize that what you're saying, what you're doing is being perceived and is this action.
William, I know this wasn't my question, but I just feel like I got to respond, because
Please,
initially
please.
you asked us, what did we notice in our own buildings? And and I kind of can feel exactly where Tamika was going with this. So 80% of teachers in America, roughly, are white women. So for me, if there's really, when I think about the entire society, and I know that our society is the teachers in the school where everybody got to go to school in the United States. So this is some factory, we all got to go there, right? That's the place where we're going to go. We're going to spend a lot of time. We're going to learn a lot of things while we're there, hopefully. 80% of the teachers in America are white women. So from my perspective, in order for us to get the real change that we desire, that we want to see, we're going to have to affect the heart, minds, and souls of white women. And not to say white men, because clearly we have some white men teachers, but in the bulk of it, it's white women. Okay. And recently, like right in light of what Tamika was saying, and kind of connection to what Matt was saying, because he's saying he should utilize his whiteness to help push the anti-racist agenda, and I respect him for that. So because I have like a quasi kind of leadership, I got like 1 foot in with the teachers, 1 foot in with the leadership. I take advantage of that and every opportunity I have to bring this discussion up or focus on it in some way. I feel like it's my responsibility to do that. With that being said, as I do an icebreaker, a mental health moment, we call it an SEL, adult SEL moment at the beginning of every single meeting that I start that has nothing to do with the rest of the agenda for the purpose of focusing on what's really on our hearts and minds. So when I got to the meeting, I put up some images and I said, I put up the images of the Capitol building with the, I don't know, I don't want to miscall it, the police people, the armed guards, whoever it was that was guarding the Capitol building during the Black Lives Matter protest. And then an image of it at Trump's inauguration, all nice and decorated with flags and pretty red, white, and blue lights, like was looking real fabulous. And then the pictures with a lot of the unrest from the thugs that were behaving as thugs on earlier this week, right? Or last week. I get my dates confused. Last week. I feel like it was just yesterday. So with that being said, I think the message was insert a text box, right? To just simply say how these images make you feel. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? You know, whatever. So teachers typing in the boxes. And then one response was, we were kind of talking about what we typed in the text box. And one response was, and this was from a Caucasian woman. Oh, I think I said something about the way the police were there ahead of time to make sure nothing happened. And where are those same guards now on this day? They were probably on their way and running a little late. And I had to really sit back and think to myself, lady, is this really the thought that's going through your mind? That it was the police were running a little late? The National Guard was what? Stuck in traffic? Are you kidding me? And so it lets me know how far we still have to go. And so I'm sorry, that was on my heart. I had to speak.
No.
I'm gonna leave it there.
No, we appreciate you, and that's why the people love you every time you come on, because you speak your mind. You know, you hop through, and that's why you're here, and we're glad to have you. Tyrone, any questions or comments from our fabulous family?
So as you said, they love the energy that Siobhan brings. Tamika, they love it. So, you know, we just have a lot of agreements. You know, folks are, you know what I mean, engaged with what they're saying and feeling. I would like to add that we are booming. Numbers are looking great here, so that is amazing. But I will ask that as you all come in, Joanne Robinson, Stacy, Twyla, Barbara Milborn, Wayman Scott, Daniel White, Linnea, all of y'all that just come in, please share questions, comments, tap the screen, and also share the live. That's right, Mrs. Berkeley. So yeah, as I said, we just got a lot of agreements, but if folks have specific questions that you would like to ask or comments, please do. And because I do know that we have a lot of educators out here, if you would like to connect with these folks around this and share your experiences and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure they would enjoy that. So we will share, you know, information and sending your contact information so that we can share that, you know, share it with them, as well as TDP has a new fellowship coming up for the spring. So I will mention details in a little bit. Back to you, William.
No, that's a nugget, Tyrone, and that's a beautiful thing about this platform, Tyrone. You always make sure that you connect the educators that are out there and parents with the good people that are doing the great work, such as they are here. Shout out to Wayman Scott, brother, that we're gonna have on very soon to the show. Linnea, I believe that's my homegirl, Linnea. Thank you for tuning in, and I think it might be my homeboy Larry Long. I'm not quite sure who asked the question earlier. If not, shout out to whatever Larry it was. Mr. Cipollone, I want to come to you. What issues are surfacing as part of your work? I'm sure we could probably guess, but in practice, what's going on as you're undertaking this situation? And okay, so there's two questions. because we have you on. So number one, what are the issues? And then are you personally getting backlash for being a white man trying to promote this work? So there's two for you, Mr. Simone.
Sure. I think the number one issue we're bumping into is like time and the resource of like time in terms of like mental capacity. The fact that like anti-racist schools has to be a program that exists outside of a teacher's contractual workday, and we're asking teachers to volunteer, and then teachers are so spent. And I mean, I can't imagine the teachers who are also caregivers at home. Like, it's the fact that this isn't a part of the regular time and work of being a teacher is the main issue we're bumping into. Because now my teacher group, all the teachers I spoke to in my school were interested, but it's being whittled down to a few 7 who have the time and space to do it. And it's quite telling that in our system, this is a additional thing that teachers have to self-elect to do, and that's a problem, right? To Siobhan's story about her teacher, like the fact that, yeah, you could become a teacher, a fully productive master's degree teacher as a white person and never once have to like learn or talk or think about race is, it's incredible. And by design, I guess not by accident. But to your question about me, I always think this is like it's not equal. Like, it's not like you could reciprocate where like I'm not trusted because I'm a white man. I mean, if like students come in and see me and have a certain distrust of me, that is a quite earned distrust that it is not hard for me to overcome quickly just by showing I care and showing who I am. So I don't think it's a fair flip side. If anything, teachers or people in my building come to me and support me. Like, I know it must be hard being a white man, like almost overly apologetic. And I'm very uncomfortable with that. Like, it's certainly not needed. It's certainly not hard being a white man talking about race. Much harder being anyone else. So it's, even in these spaces, it's much easier for me to say a radical idea because there's no retribution.
So what about with your white colleagues? Or do you have any colleagues or counterparts who like, Matt, what are you doing?
Yeah, I do think in my school environment, there's like a really big openness to it. So there really just hasn't been that pushback, which is like a great thing. And it shows that people are there for the right reason. I'll say sometimes it might be more of a generational component to it. Whether the person is white or black, but coming of, oh, like these new ideas, you think you're radical and gonna like solve racism, like just because now we say this and we used to say, like, that's kind of more of like you're young and think you could like solve everything. And that's much of my whiteness too, is thinking I take a class and then I could like tell everyone how to be anti-racist. So that's something I work on myself, but not much pushback because of my identity. Because again, everyone internalizes it. So I'm kind of seen as like neutral, even though I'm very much a racial being myself.
Well, thank you, sir. And again, appreciate your honesty. Tyrone, before we go back to Ms. Peters.
Yes. A couple of things. This is what I like. I like when y'all get engaged and start throwing the stuff out there. I love it. I love it. I love it. So a couple of questions. I want to read this comment first. Who says that I'm very thankful for my admin team that's all African-American women who are very empathetic. And then Linnea says that we are stretched way too thin. The majority of our students are Black and fastest growing group is Latino. Cultural affirmation and anti-racist teaching should be the norm. And then the question for the panels, 2 questions. I'm gonna say both of them now, and then y'all can ask. One is from our brother Sheldon. Thank you, Sheldon, for joining as well. Would you mind adding even more practical examples of anti-racist efforts at a school level? All right, so that's one. Somebody can hold that. And then We would also like to know, welcome Nicole Rawshaw. Please share the live and tap the thumbs up in the heart screen as in the heart buttons as you're watching. But the next is, so when we encounter people that are not as evolved as we would like them to be, right, around this, how have you figured out, what are ways that you figured out to help them grow? You know, if y'all could give examples of how you've helped them grow.
Okay,
Miss
I'm gonna answer
Peter,
the second one.
which one did you want to take, Miss Peters?
Second question.
Okay. Miss Burke, you take the first?
I can take the first.
Okay.
So you got to think we starting from the bottom. So although, you know, some of the things that I may say may seem small, but coming from a place of nowhere and nothing, they're a step in the right direction. So one of them is just by creating this project. So now we know at least 10 or 11 schools are having these conversations. Yes, 10 or 11 is a small number on the grand scale of how many schools are in Baltimore City, but it's more than 0. So that's one thing, all right? Just starting the project itself, giving it a title, giving it a name, sharing it, right? Another thing that we specifically do are having dedicated bi-monthly meetings. And during these meetings, we can talk about a host, a plethora, a variety of topics, but they all fall under anti-racist schools. Because again, we don't want to confine people to a box. We do want them, each school, to be able to address the different needs that they have around racism. We are identifying at least one primary goal that we have for each school around being a more anti-racist school that the school can work on. So for me, for Matt, for Tadamika, for some of the other schools involved, that's all going to be different based on the need of our school. So each school team is working on identifying an area of improvement around anti-racism, and that's where their team that meets twice a month, that's where they're focusing their conversation and their energies around the ways to improve the school and help it to become a more anti-racist school in that way. In addition, we are promoting the Black Lives Matter week of curriculum, okay, which is going to be the first week of February, the first week of Black History Month, where teachers deliberately take the time and the energy to implement and carry out these Black Lives Matter lessons, who's been created by a group of teachers who dedicated their time into writing these lessons to be implemented specifically during our Black Lives Matter week of action, which again is the first week of Black History Month, the first week of February. And I think I read, I don't know all the details, that they're really working on creating a year-long kind of activity so that it expands beyond 1 week during Black History Month. Okay, and I'm sure I'm forgetting maybe some more specific things that schools might be doing, but I think overall that is like the general place of where we're coming from. As Matt said, right now participation is totally optional. So I cannot go up to someone who I might think and feel in my heart, is a racist, and be like, look, you're gonna take this class today. We're not there yet. Although it is our hope that eventually there will be some systemic training, even in the future, state or even national training that will focus on these issues. But again, we're starting from the bottom, and we are happy to at least be getting our feet wet through this project. I'm so thankful to the Teachers Democracy Project and Baltimore Teachers Union for coming together to create this collaboration in this space for us to be able to work together. But again, right now, we're in the baby stages, the infant stages. Again, we're just getting our feet wet with these 10 or 11 schools who came together and at least pulled the strength together to say out loud and be active around having anti-racist schools.
Thank you, Ms. Berkeley. Ms. Peters, the first question from the audience.
Yes. So the question to how I made it was basically, how do I approach somebody that doesn't want to be a part of it? Am I correct? That's basically the question.
Tyrone, is that what was the first of the two?
I was doing the second question.
Oh, sorry, the second.
That was when you encounter people who are not as evolved as we would like them to be, which ways have you figured out to help them grow?
So first of all, like Siobhan said, of course, when I started the project we did over the summer, we did a book club and we had like 30 some participants. And as we kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper and more context, the numbers started to dwindle. And in a perfect world, I want everybody to be there. But I try to, for me, my patience is really big. So I try to meet them where they are because I got to make small steps before I can make the giant leap. I don't want to, parts of me wants to intimidate them, be like, do this, like it needs to be done. I got to be honest. But I'm not going to get anything from these people that way. So my goal is whenever I meet someone who is not as involved, it's just to have those conversations with them. Let them tell me what they see. Let them feel comfortable in me and let me listen. And then we move on from there. Because just think about your own personal life, not even about a topic so heavy, because racism, eventually calling somebody out on their own stuff is a heavy topic for anybody. But just think about your own life, and when somebody's trying to talk to you, if you're not feeling it or you feel attacked, you shut down. And what I don't want is anybody shutting down. I'll shut down because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, what's my next step? But I want them to still want to come and talk. I want them to still want to be a part, because that way I can get them there. We can start talking about little things and get them comfortable. So when I have to do the heavier lifting, they know that it's coming from a place like, hey, we're in this together. We're going to build together. We're growing together. This is what we need. So yes, to be this person, it takes a lot of work to recognize it. And like Siobhan said, knowing people who are not there where you want them to be, or you can't even just go up to them and say, you need to be part of this because I seen that crap you did the other day to that person. Can't do that. I have to be more mindful and just get them there. Baby steps. Like I said, this is a baby steps. But we all had to crawl before we walk. We all had to walk before we started running. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you, Tyrone. And then I have a follow-up from Ms. Cipollone.
Okay, all right. So see this, y'all. This it starts. The folks get into it in the comments and the questions. So this is a couple of comments I do want to acknowledge and read. This is from Joanne. City Schools has put in place an equity program. Has anything been done besides formulating an equity definition? Have there been any teacher workshops, trainings, or even a curriculum in place? When I taught in city schools, a lot of this work was done in after-school programs. I don't know that answer to that question, Joanne. I think it's something to definitely look into and find out. So if anyone else know the answer, you can help. If not, we'll expand, we'll find. But William obviously knows something to that. We'll come to him with that. Then I also want to acknowledge our brother Larry McLeod says, definitely breaking down what racism is. Discrimination, bigotry, prejudgment, and biases are human being characteristic traits that all of us have and use almost on a daily basis. Racism controls the ebb and flow of society's social economic structure. I can discriminate, prejudge, and be biased towards vanilla ice cream. Racism owns the ice cream shop. So a concise, defined definition of what racism is and how it works may be a good start for our educators. So put that, I don't know. And I don't know if that's something that the group has already defined, but if not, that's why I thought it was really great, to share that one as well. We got comments like, come on, y'all, each one teach one, of course. No, thank you for expanding. Thank you for expanding that 1 week for Black Lives Matters, 1 month for Black History Month. Having the children write essays on the same old people year after year needs to stop. Listen, Ms. Robinson, if I could, I just said not too long ago, I know this is going to be a larger fight. We were just talking about this, William, right? Where it's ridiculous that we get 1 month, the shortest month for, Black History Month. This needs to be a part of the curriculum all year around, regular. We should know it still be.
I'm sorry. Yes.
No, I'm saying, yes, scream it, shout it. I just said this, and I said, however, we could start as parents and educators or whatever on this work to get this ball rolling now. It may not affect the kids now, but at least our children, right, will be able to have this to be a part of their regular curriculum as we go. Okay, because it was something else. Can these week-long lessons start to be promoted in the city email blast? Can they be partnered with the social studies curriculum? So many great tools don't get the right shine because teachers don't know about them in advance. Great. Yeah, so yeah, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and go, but I just had to share that. If anyone, William, I know you had something about the equity. I know Rebecca put something in the comments as well, but you share and then go back to Mr. Matt with a question, as unfortunately we get to running out of time.
Yeah, we almost need to have a carryover part two. Yes, equity work is going forward. I was actually in Dr. Durant's class. She is I don't know her exact title, for equity and racial justice and teaching those things throughout the city. So Dr. Durant did start that project at least a year ago. So yes to that. Man, Tyrone, you opened up a lot with Black History Month, because I'm gonna say this real quick, because I gotta ask this question to Mr. Cipollone, but I'm gonna say this real quick. There's no way. And the problem is, you cannot encapsulate Black scholarship to 1 month. That's just America. You're right. We talk about the same 5 heroes, and they are heroes. They are giants for what they've done in this country. But there is a Black antiquity prior to the 1619. I know a lot of people, 1619 and 2019 was 400 years. Yes, it was. But there are thousands of years of Black scholarship that you all need to look into. Everybody needs to look into. And what's interesting about that is white scholars wrote about African antiquity, Black antiquity on the continent and throughout the world for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So as Mrs. Cipollone was saying earlier, Ms. Peters and Ms. Berkeley, this is a system that seeks to hide and erase the importance of Blackness, Black culture at all to many people. And it's not just Black people that suffer at the hands, of this deceit. It's also white people as well. Young Black people grow up with an inferiority complex. Young white people grow up with a superiority complex. But Mrs. Cipollone, I have to ask you this. I don't think this is part of your mandate in the project, but I believe that the system is doing this backwards. That is to say, the anti-racism philosophy should be a part of the hiring protocols for every person that seeks a job with Baltimore City public school systems. You don't hire folks and then try to, without this project, it's fair to say that there would be no intentional change toward racial attitudes and prejudice, right? So what do you think, Ms. Cipollone? Can you, I don't know if you all can extend this to Baltimore City Public School brass, but my opinion is that it has to be a part of ongoing hiring practices. Obviously, you don't ask a person, are you a racist? No, the answer is no. There's got to be some questions that raise flags to how people think about race. And I don't know if your project gets to that, but what's your thoughts on that? I know that's a loaded question too.
No, I mean, it's, I don't think it is. I mean, I surely can't speak to like the city level, but I do think a great just baseline question is like, for a teacher, I'm only thinking of a teacher perspective because myself, like, how does your race show up and play a role in the classroom? Particularly for white people, when they ask that question in their one college diversity class, it's like, how does your race impact your life? How does your identity impact your life? And white people are like, I don't know. I don't have an identity. I don't know. I don't have a race. And it's like the inability to understand that piece of how your identity, how my whiteness plays a role in the classroom is the greatest failure. Because you can have the greatest, most good-hearted white teacher in the world, but if you're coming at it as if you just don't understand how your body and your whiteness plays a role in the classroom, that itself is doing harm and violence. So to that question, like, yeah, are you a racist? Like, that's not like, how does your identity, how does your race play a role? I don't think it's outrageous to say that people should be able to answer that when you're dealing with children, with any profession.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Tyrone, it is 6 o'clock.
I know.
It is 6 o'clock. I have, we didn't finish our scripted questions. I have 1,003 questions. We got to have these wonderful people back on. Matt, I want to say this to you publicly, sir.
Yes, it went so fast.
Yes, but Matt, I want to say this to you publicly. Ms. Peters, you know how I feel about the work that you continue to do. Ms. Berkeley, having meeting you this year about the work that you continually do. But Matt, in an age, in a time in our society where just looking at you can be divisive, can be a cause of trauma, it is wonderful. I just want to say thank you, sir, for joining in this work to help bridge help make bridges and help burn down this racist system from a position not only of privilege, Mrs. Cipollone, but the willingness to take some darts from your fellow folks. You may not be taking them now, God bless you, but there will be a day where some people on your side of the line, so to speak, will say, hey, Matt, man, you're going about this the wrong way. What are you doing? So I want to say thank you for helping along in this fight. Let's see. We'll do Tyrone. Let's do 30-second final thoughts. 30 seconds. Ms. Berkeley.
My final thoughts are revolving around how can we move this work to be more systemic? And what's her name? The one you took the class with, Dr.
Durant.
Dr. Durant was doing some amazing things, but once we went into the pandemic, it's almost like things got put to the side. So I would love to try to maybe connect with her and maybe think about our new teacher institute, that mandatory training that all new Baltimore City school teachers have to go through, and seeing if maybe we can design something, at least on a district level. I mean, one class, during 1 week of intense training wouldn't be enough, but it would be a beginning. Beautiful. And that would help ensure that all Baltimore City schools teachers are starting to be involved in the anti-racist work. Excellent.
Mrs. Cipollone, 30 seconds.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me and everything. I really appreciate the space. So I think I know the question's always like, what is the tangible action or what are the steps? I just want to put a word out there again for just like, the work is, particularly for white people listening, the work is to like self-reflect and self-push. Like that is the work. To search for like, well, what are the problems? How do we solve the problems? Like you're missing that very much. Like we are the problems and like our role in it. So like not knocking, doing the individual work. If we all do the individual work, we're there.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Cipollone. Resident Revolutionary Ms. Peters, 30 seconds.
I just want everybody to remember that this tree was built many, many, many years ago. If you know how old trees are, the trunks are thick, the roots are down, but we are chopping at it. Please continue to do this work. My goal, to be honest with you, is hopefully with the next year to take it, like Siobhan said, to the district level, to the national level, to everywhere, so we can start trickling down. So continue to fight the good fight, continue to be part of everything, continue to ask the questions. We are just beginning. This is not the first or the last time you will see many of us doing this work.
Beautiful. I love it. The people of the earth, salt of the earth references. I love it. Tyrone, 30 seconds, my brother.
Okay, I'm gonna talk really, really fast. So, William, you said that we had to continue this. A lot of the audience and folks who are watching agree as well. So, I think we need to do it sooner than later. Also, I don't think we need to push it off while the conversation is fresh in here. And other questions we need to. I know y'all busy, have a schedule, but y'all need to let us know when y'all available another Monday. So that's that. Really, really quick. And then, as I said earlier, y'all keep in mind. Really, really soon, you can follow with us. We'll share the link, but TDP is offering a fellowship opportunity for parents and teachers who will create school action teams. It's about 3 hours 3 hours a week worth work, and it offers a stipend for your time, as well as locally produced Black Lives Matter curriculum will be an online event. So join educators on January the 21st for a presentation of Black Lives Matter curriculum. Baltimore Teachers Union and TDP invites all educators to select from the presentation or to teach your own lessons during the Black Lives Matters Week of Action in Education, which is February 1st through the 5th. So please keep those dates in mind. We will continue to share, tell folks about them, be there, y'all. Let's turn this out as an online event. Let's get as many people as we can there to participate and be a part of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need this now more than ever. I believe this is a great, I'm past my 30 seconds, so I'm going to shut up really fast. Join us Thursday. Also, we'll repeat the information
on Tyrone's house, as you all well know. We want to thank our family for joining us, our audience. Thank you, Tyrone. Said we did big numbers today. Thank you so much. Miss Berkeley, always a pleasure. Thank you for continuing to do the multiple things that you do, including this work. Miss Peters, always a pleasure. Miss Peters, come back anytime. Mr. Cipollone, it's an honor to meet you, sir. Thank you for undertaking this work as well. We do need you, sir. We do need you, and we need people like you. Brother Tyrone, that's it for me. Family, thank you all so much for joining. We'll see y'all on Thursday at Tyrone's house.